change is funny because nobody wants change and they resist it to the very bitter end, but then at the same time, we all want something better than what we currently have. And that's such a strange thing to me, right? Like it doesn't make sense that we would want something better, we want something more, but we wouldn't embrace change. And this channel is all about growth and the journey of just living life and what that entails. And to me, in my life, I've certainly resisted change. Every turn, every turn that's ever been presented to me, I have fought and wrestled against it until it ultimately grinded me down and I had to accept it. And then you're left with nothing but to deal with the situation that you're currently in. And I don't know why that we do that. I don't know why we resist change so much. But I think embracing change is a really good thing. You know, there's a lot of times where we want to control the outcome, or at least I do. And maybe that's just me, or I know some people probably resonate with that. But I really feel like I want to do everything I can possibly do to control how things turn out for me. And I've tried that so many times over the course of my lifetime in my 41 years. And almost always, especially on the big stuff, what I've learned is that I don't know what's best for me. And oftentimes it's just finding all the new and creative ways in which I was wrong. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. You know, I think that by and large, most people just want the best for themselves and they don't wish any harm on anyone else. And they're willing to put in the work to get to where they want to go, even if they don't quite know where that's at. And they do that. They almost fight and they kick and they scream. I certainly do. You know, I have in the past, and I'm trying to be better these days, but I'm certainly not perfect at all. You know, it's one of those things that we resist it so much so that it starts causing problems in our own lives. And that to me doesn't make sense. And when I say it right now here, I know it doesn't make sense, but then we all go and do it. And I don't know why we do that. There's so much, if you just, I don't know, maybe I'm showing my cards a little bit early here on this channel, but you know, there's so much of the way I live my life that I think I know what's best for myself. And I really try my level best to do what's right and to do what's good. And I do that, and it doesn't always work out the way that I think it should. And it just shows me that I don't know what's coming. I don't know what's coming down the pipeline, and I have to be malleable and I have to be adaptable. And I can't hold on to things too tightly. And I think that's something that we all have a penchant for. You know, we want to hold on to what we want so tightly. Like we matter, you know, and we do to an extent, but we're not the only ones that matter. So stepping outside of yourself and looking at things from a different perspective, or, you know, taking the circumstances that come to you as they come to you, taking them in stride and dealing with them in such a way that you would look back later on and feel happy and feel respectable about the way you dealt with them. I think that's a very important thing today. And I feel like it's lacking. You know, I feel like a lot of times we kind of go through life in a little bit of a daze where we're the center of our own universe and we don't really think outside of that box or much outside of that box. Maybe you think about your family, maybe you think about your friends, but it doesn't go beyond that scope. And I think that it's really important that we all consider that we are not the center of everything. You know, it's fine to think that you're important and all that's fine. And if you're doing important things in the world, then I commend you for that. I'm talking to a camera on YouTube right now. So it is what it is. You know, we're all doing our thing. We're all playing our part. We're all doing what makes the most sense to us. And I think when I realized that everyone is doing what makes the most sense to themselves, they're doing the best that they know how in the circumstances that they're in, it helped me to gain some empathy and some understanding for other people's perspectives. It helped me to deal with and accept some of the things that were happening in my life that I didn't agree with or I didn't feel like was the best thing at the time. And then, of course, hindsight is 2020, and I look back, and what I realize is that those things actually were really good for me. They were stepping stones to where I needed to be later on. So I guess part of this here, I think the first video I released on this channel was a little bit more thoughtful, and I had a direction that I wanted to go. This one was a little bit more shooting from the cuff. And next week we might talk about distractions and making sure you're tuned into life, or we may talk about something completely different. But this week was full of distractions for me. And, you know, I came into this wanting to do a weekly entry into this series where I talk about things and share things with you guys. And that's what we're here to do. And I thought that the topic might be distraction, but really I wanted to talk about how we resist change so much, because so much of where I'm at right now at 41 years old is a result of unwanted change that came about over the course of the last 30 years of my life. Things I did not want to happen, but they happened anyways, and all I could do was either pick up the pieces and continue on or fold under everything that was happening. And I chose the former, and I'm very glad that I did, because it led me to a really good spot. And I think a lot of that comes down to a few things. You know, I think a lot of it comes down to being true to yourself, knowing who you are and what you want out of life. And again, in the first video, I'll link that below in the video description, but in the first video, I talked about not knowing what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I was kind of speaking to the career sense, but I've always known that I wanted to be happy, and I always knew that I wanted to be a good father and a good husband. Those were things that mattered a lot to me, because I didn't have those things when I was growing up. I didn't have those examples in my life growing up. And there's a lot of people out there who feel that way. And I've always stayed true to those things. And when I didn't know what the next step was, I just did the next right thing, the next best thing that I could do that was true to me, that was authentic to me, that was within the scope of what the life that I wanted to live. And I pressed towards that even when the times were hard. And I don't know, there's an analogy in here somewhere about a ship at sea in a storm and just steering towards the direction you think is right. I'm not going to try to get philosophical like that. Truth be told, it literally was just hanging on for dear life at times. But here we are. Here we are years later, decades later in some cases, and I'm in a better spot because I stayed the course. I knew what I wanted. I wasn't going to compromise on that, and I pushed towards it every step of the way, and I hung on for dear life, even when it felt hopeless sometimes. So if you're in that situation right now, and you're resisting change in your life, and you want change in your life, but you're resisting it, I just want to urge you to embrace it and to take the next step toward what you want. And when you're taking that step, one of the best quotes I ever heard was, "Don't trade what you want most for what you want now." So many times we are willing, and I'm willing, to take the cheap, quick fix, and you don't want to hang in there. You don't want to go through the struggle and muster the patience that's required to wait for what you want. You don't want to accept that delayed gratification. You want to just get whatever it is that makes you feel good right now, whatever takes the pain away right now, whatever makes you forget about the troubles that you're having right now. and it doesn't fulfill you. It doesn't. It's a cheap substitute, and it's fleeting, and in a day or a week or a month, it's going to be gone. Stay the course. Stay the course. Trust the process. You can do it. We all can do it. We all have it within us to stay that course. You just have to do it. You have to make that conscious decision that you're going to go after what you want most rather than what you want right now. And you have to trust that the change that you want is going to come from that. And I just encourage you to do that, to in the face of adversity, exhibit that tenacity that you can get what you want as long as you press towards it. And maybe you don't know what you want. Maybe you don't know, again, even still at 41, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. That's okay. I know who I want to be. And I just take the next step towards that. And the next step after that. And it's a day-to-day thing. It's a week-to-week thing. And I don't have to think further than that, you know? And neither do you. You don't have to have it all figured out. Nobody does. Literally nobody has it figured out. And all the money in the world, all the success in the world, whatever you're looking for is not going to solve it. You just have to take that next step towards being who you want to be, and everything else will fall into place along the way. I just want to encourage you guys with that today. That's what's on my heart. Again, this was unscripted, maybe a little bit more rambly or disjointed than the last one was, and I'll probably watch both of them back now and see which one was the better format and try to press more towards that. But I like this. I get a little rambly sometimes, but sometimes that's where the nuggets come out. So, by the way, drinking a little Jack Daniel's 12-year here. Very special bottle. Again, we're early in the channel. Jack Daniel's 12-year batch 1, 107 proof. This was an incredible bottle. This was an amazing gift from a friend. Love this stuff. We are here in Nashville, Tennessee, my wife and I and my daughter, and got an affinity for Jack Daniel's. And this is just, it's like incredible, incredible whiskey. Oh, it's so good. We're getting ready. My wife and I were getting ready to go out for a belated birthday dinner for myself at one of our favorite restaurants here in Nashville. If you're ever in Nashville, Tennessee, definitely try to get reservations at Bastion. It's a course dinner. It's an amazing experience. That's what we're doing tonight. We've recorded some for our YouTube channel, our other YouTube channel, the whiskey channel that we do. Earlier today, it's been a great day. This has been something that's been on my mind lately. Although this week, distractions have been heavy on my mind because this has been a week full of distractions, trying to divert me from what I wanted to talk about. And I almost talked about distractions this week, but I chose to press forward with change because the fact that we resist it, but we want it so badly is just, it baffles me. It baffles me. And I do it almost every single day of my life. So try to be aware. The whole idea of this channel is to be intentional about the life that we live. And you have to be intentional about the change that you want and the person that you want to be for yourself and for the people that are in your life. And I hope this finds you well. I hope it finds you in a situation that if you need to hear this word, that it hits you where it needs to hit you, and it gives you encouragement where it needs to. And if nothing else, I hope I help pass some time for you. But I appreciate you for watching. I thank you for tuning in. I'll be back next week with another one of these, and we'll talk about whatever's pertinent at the time. I appreciate you. Cheers.